I'll be going through the role of Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. So this India is something which was added through, it was not originally IRDA, it was originally IRDA when it was enacted in 2000 in 1999 and started functioning from 2000. But then since we have Reserve Bank of India, Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority, I don't know whether there is a India there, but Securities and Exchange Board of India is there. So now probably they thought that we should Indianize this also. So they put in India again in this. And this happens to be one of the amendments of one of the two amendments that were there in the IRDA Act when 2014 Act Insurance Laws Amendment Act came into force. So this is as far as the title of the organization. As far as the history is concerned, when LIC was, when the life insurance business was nationalized in 1956, there was only one life insurer. When the general insurance business was nationalized in 1972, there was just one GIC under the umbrella of which there were four general insurance companies. Subsequently, one became a reinsurer. It was taken out of the umbrella and they became independent entities. So when you have an entire public sector orientation and a very strict government ownership of the insurance business, there is no need for a regulatory authority. The only authority that was there at that point of time was the controller of insurance, which is just like before Reserve Bank was formed, there was controller of currency who was doing the currency management function. Similarly, you had a controller of insurance who was regulating the insurance business, and there was hardly any regulation that was necessary because the business was handled by two sets of institutions which were wholly public owned. But the reforms in terms of privatization in the financial sector, the sweep of it started when we had the Financial Sector Reforms Committee, which was chaired by Shri M. Narasimham, who recently passed away. So he came out with elaborate recommendations relating to the banking sector and financial sector, financial markets, etc. And some of the key recommendations that he made were opening up of the banking sector for new entities to be coming in, have a new set of private organizations coming into the picture, because the major players in the banking sector at that point of time were all public sector banks, which were nationalized in 1969 and 1980. So similar opening of the insurance sector also to private participation, and more importantly, consequent upon the opening up of the economy to external capital. Why not incorporate external capital also into the insurance sector? Because it is not merely that the capital that they were interested in, but because of the expertise that was there in terms of underwriting and other things which they wanted to harness for the development of the insurance sector. And second thing they wanted to build was the capital structure, bring in an element of competition, because that is what was the mantra, that the more competition you have, the better basket of services are available for people, and the better basket of services are available, the sector people will get something that they would like to have. That like to have basket will increase. So more people will take insurance and the insurance penetration density and other things will improve. So on that premise, recommendations for reforms in the insurance sector were made by a committee which was set up for that purpose. And it was headed by a former Reserve Bank Governor, Shri R.N. Malhotra. He said, open it up for private participation, open it up for foreign investment, or then have a separate regulator, because you would want to have this regulator to take care of two basic interests. One is the policyholders' protection was assured because it was government which was doing the business. But now when private people are going to have their participation in business, policyholder protection will become very important. So that is the first purpose with which a regulator was supposed to be set up. Then to develop the insurance market and have a an organized insurance sector, because the disorganization would be in terms of having too many players coming into the sector. So with these was the reason why they had suggested that we should have have a regulatory authority. So initially, we started off with an interim body. I think Mr. Wahab has more history about this than me, but let us Suffice it to say that there was an interim insurance regulatory authority which was set up in 1996 through a central government notification, and the place of its headquarters was at New Delhi. Then subsequently the enactment for putting into place a regulator came about. So now you have in 1999 an enactment came into being called the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Act 1999. So the business relating to insurance continues to be governed by the Insurance Act. The regulator, the controller of insurance, who was the authority who under the Insurance Act, that controller of insurance power has been hived off to the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. Even now there is a reference of controller of insurance in the Insurance Act, and that can happen only the control can revert back to the controller of insurance only when the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority is superseded because of the provisions which are there in the IRDA Act, which I will be touching about. So the controller of insurance has not been done away with totally. So it can come back provided IRDA does not do its job well. So that provision continues to be there. So now the controller of insurance for all practical purposes. That's the reason why when we were doing the amendments and we were examining these sections, there was some confusion. So the controller is a single person, but now you have an authority, and authority under the Act will be its composition of 10 persons. So whether it is individual, whether it is chairman, whether it is authority. So everything in the IRDA Act, you will find authority, and whether that authority is one person or a body of 10 persons. That was an aspect where even now they have not brought in much clarity. So, but ideally speaking, the general power of superintendence is with the authority, which is this 10-member body. But the authority acts through the chairman, and the chairman and the authority through the regulations that are made distribute the functions amongst various functionaries within that organization. So that's why you will have this confusion of authority, etc. The Act came into being on December 29, 1999 because it received the President's assent on that day. But the implementation of the Act was from April 19, 2000. And this day, when we came to IRDA, the first thing that we did was we wanted to commemorate this coming into force of the Act, and then we started off by mooting this concept, saying that this day should be celebrated as a Insurance Awareness Day. So we used to have functions where people from IRDA, there used to be a seminar and certain functions which were organized. Then the evening would be a rendezvous for all the employees of IRDA, and it's fortunate or unfortunately it happened only in the 3 years that we were there. Afterwards it was religiously dumped, but the Insurance Awareness Day continues to be there. But the events are done by the insurers, and IRDA has a hands-off approach as far as that is concerned now. So the name, as usual, was changed in 2015 with effect through the Amendment Act that I have already discussed. So the purpose of setting up of IRDA, the preamble says that it is for the purpose of protecting the interests of holders of insurance policies and to regulate, promote and ensure orderly growth of the insurance industry because of the multiplicity of players, multiplicity of products that they would be bringing to force, and also the practices that would be there through multiplicity of intermediaries who would be operating in this particular market. So this would require a separate and dedicated financial regulator who would be ensuring this, regulating, promoting and ensuring orderly growth. So it's supposed to take care of the market. It is supposed to be developmental in its approach. It is supposed to regulate. And when you say regulate, automatically it should be given powers to issue regulations, enforce the enactment, then supervise the compliance with the regulations, and if there is a non-compliance with regulation, then take regulatory action. So all this are within the kitty of IRDA as far as their functions are concerned, and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. So originally it was there in there were 2 offices where IRDA was there, and I was having the pleasure of working in both offices. One was in the Parishram Bhavan, which was on this side of the road, and on the other side there is a United India Insurance building on the topmost floor facing the road, there was one other setup of IRDA. So I was there in the Consumer Affairs Department, which was in that United India Assurance building. Then I was in the legal department here, which was in the Parishram Bhavan. And for all those years, the new building of IRDA was under construction. And finally, this is the building that is there now. And after leaving IRDA, I have never ever gone back to IRDA. So maybe one day I will have to. In fact, I was expecting Vahab sir would take me to meet Rajeshwari madam and submit that memorandum. But unfortunately, that has not yet happened. Okay, so this is the office of IRDA. So just like Reserve Bank of India is declared to be a body corporate, IRDA is also declared to be a body corporate with a common seal and a perpetual succession. RBI has a share capital of 5 crores, but IRDA has no share capital at all. The grant that was given by central government was the corpus with which it started functioning. And subsequently, whatever penalties, whatever fees that are there, then renewal fees, annual fees, they will be the basic sources of income. Subsequently, there will be other money if it is required. It will be taken out from the Consolidated Fund of India and handed over to IRDA. So you don't have this issue insofar as SEBI and RBI and IRDA are concerned about the capital being there, profit being there, and the profit being shared or transferred back to the government. So those kind of issues IRDA won't have. If it is able to meet its own cost, that is more than enough. As far as ownership is concerned, it's wholly owned by central government. Then places of business, the head office, this is probably the only financial regulator which is outside Mumbai. Of course, it's located in Hyderabad. I think the PFRDA is located in New Delhi. Apart from that, there is a provision for opening offices. So when the inspection was supposed to be stepped up, because of the legacy, they had an office in New Delhi. But when inspection of intermediaries and insurers was supposed to be stepped up, they opened offices in Mumbai, also, and made the office in New Delhi stronger by having a lot of officers posted. Now, basically, surveyors department largely operates out of New Delhi. And the most important functions that is handled in these offices is inspection of regulated entities. So this is the head office. Then management. There are 10. The authority is headed by the chairman or chairperson. The constitution of authority is chairman. Then there are members. There are 5 full-time members, and the 5 full-time members are of 5 specific disciplines. There is one of actuarial. I think Mr. Arora is the actuarial member now. There is one of life. Mr. Ganesh is the person who is in life. Then non-life. Madam Alemelu is the non-life person. Then you have distribution. Mr. Rajeshwari is the distribution member. Then finance and investment, that's lying vacant, which needs to be filled. And the chairman's post is also presently vacant. And as far as part-time members are concerned, not more than 4. So totally 10 members are supposed to be taking care of the management. And all these are appointed by the central government. In addition to it, the regulatory powers are exercised by consultation with a committee which is formed of experts from various diverse disciplines which have significance in insurance, and that body is the Insurance Advisory Committee. So any regulation that is issued goes through the Insurance Advisory Committee to capture all the inputs that need to be given to make the regulation sound. Then at this juncture, let me just hold my breath for a moment and find out whether you're all with me. So are you all? Is my speed appropriate?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I have not told.
Can I have?
Yes, sir.
Only one doubt, sir. You told controller of insurance.
Yes,
is still controller of insurance is existed as on date, and if so, who is heading the controller of insurance, sir?
There is no controller of insurance as on date. Okay. What I am trying to tell is, I will talk about the provision where the central government has power to supersede the authority. That is, this 10-member board, okay, that if they are not functioning in accordance with the directions which are given by central government, or they are operating inefficiently, the central government can simply dump these and assign the role to a controller of insurance.
Okay. Okay.
Controller of insurance will act like the board as far as this IRDA is concerned, and he will do the function till a new set of members are brought in. Within 6 months, they will have to be brought in. You have a power which is there in IRDA Act also, section 30, which says that the central government can supersede the Board of Reserve Bank of India and entrust the function to any other authority.
Okay.
Like that, you have an analogous power here.
Okay.
Dumped off controller of insurance, but as of now, there is no controller of insurance. Some IRDA makes a fool of itself. Okay. So shall we? I'll go ahead with the functions. You're able to see my PPT now?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes. So now, functions. I will just discuss broadly. The detailing of all the various items will be there in section 14 of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, at which time probably there will be some reinforcement of this function. Now, my intention of bringing out this is to give you an idea about the sweep of institutions that they are there in the insurance sector. So the functions of IRDA are basically to regulate and supervise the entities in insurance. That is, insurers, who are the main players providing products and conducting insurance business. Then you have agents and intermediaries, who are those which are either facilitating distribution or facilitating servicing as far as the insurance business is concerned. The second important function is policyholder protection. So this is, I think, more than the regulation and supervision, policyholder protection has to be at the apex of its functions. But historically, because IRDA has a cadre of people who have come in from the insurance business, I don't know now, but at the time that I was there, the first thought that comes in any regulator who is interacting with you is that they are more concerned about the business rather than the policyholder protection. So their approach is more tuned to the business rather than to the customer protection. So that's something which over a period of time probably, or maybe now, the orientation would have changed, as you can see so many standardized products, etc. coming, which are basically aimed for simplicity for policyholders. But policyholder protection continues to be a very important goal. Then promoting efficiency in conduct of insurance business. So this is something which is a very important area. How do you promote efficiency in conduct of insurance business? By having various levels of intermediaries who are providing services, that could be a mechanism of promoting efficiency. The second thing is having an army of diverse institutions who are engaged in distribution of insurance products can bring in instead of insurance company itself striving to build its business, it is entrusting this function to people around. In fact, your third-party administrators is a very important way of ensuring efficiency in conduct of health insurance business. Similarly, you could have investigation, you could see your surveyors and loss assessors. Though it is statutorily required, there is for only those which are beyond 50,000 in case of motor and beyond 1 lakh in case of other insurance policies. Imagine that you don't have that kind of a provision and the insurer is only supposed to deal with every survey and loss assessment. Then maybe a general insurance company will have more business that way rather than really promoting business. So from that point of view, a surveyor and loss assessor, then a third-party administrator, then an insurance repository, all these institutions which are intended to promote efficiency in conduct of insurance business. Then the provision says that there is a power for adjudication of disputes between insurers and intermediaries. So this is within the players which are there in the system if there is any fight. So then adjudication of those kind of disputes fall within the purview of the IRDA. So there could be areas where the insurer is not paying up money to the TPA or the TPA is not comfortable. So those kind of issues could crop up as aspects of adjudication between the which could get referred to IRDA. Then the most important role that is there is the third letter in the title of IRDA, that is the developmental role. That is a very important role that IRDA is supposed to perform. Then who do they regulate? First, insurers. There are life insurers, 24 of them, 23 private and 1 public. Then general insurers, there are 34 of them. Private insurers who are engaged in general insurance business, 21. Then public, 4 companies. Then standalone health insurance companies, there are 7. Then specialized insurers, that is agricultural insurance company and ECGC, there are 2. Then reinsurers. In this, you have 3 categories. In fact, you had 4 categories. But one is an Indian, national reinsurer, which is GIC Re. Then there was another reinsurance company, but it never took off. And subsequently, it has been closed also. Then branches of foreign reinsurance companies, this permission to come into business was granted again through the 2015 amendment. Then Lloyd's and its entities have also been allowed entry into the Indian reinsurance market. So this is the list of the companies that are operating. So there have been a few changes in the nomenclature. So IDBI Federal became AGS Federal. Max Bupa is now Viva Bupa. Then Religare is now Care. So these are the small changes. And as far as the reinsurer is concerned, there is another FM Global insurance company also, which has opened the reinsurance branch here. So these are the various reinsurers that are there. And what are the components of regulation that we have? First is the legislations, basically the Insurance Act, IRDA Act, and there are other acts also like Marine Insurance, Public Liability, Motor Vehicles Act. So these are the legislations. Then the subordinate legislations are rules. Rules are those which central government makes in accordance with the provisions of the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Act or under Section 114 of the Insurance Act. Then regulations are those which the regulator makes, that is IRDA makes under Section 26 of the IRDA Act or Section 114A of the Insurance Act. And this sweep of subordinate legislative capability through regulation has been increased manifold by the 2015 amendment which has been brought into the Insurance Act. So several provisions where there was a hard coding of limits, etc. Like what was there in Section 64 UM, 20,000 or that amount was there. So now what they have done is such amount as may be specified by IRDA. So there is one clause where regulation will be there in terms of specifying what is the limit after which surveyor becomes mandatory. So like that, there were several provisions where IRDA was given the regulatory power. And the reason for doing it was to make it easier for the regulator to issue regulations and make the act almost, some may say that it's become very hollow. But I would say that the operational flexibility that is required for changing in accordance with the changing times has been provided by entrusting the responsibility of doing this finer detail management to the regulator who has been created by the legislation itself. Apart from this, you have circulars, guidelines and instructions, etc., which are also emanating from these regulations. So these form the subordinate legislations. The third component of regulation is self-regulation, where Life Insurance Council and the GI Council, which are constituted under Section 64C of the Insurance Act. So these institutions are supposed to be self-regulatory bodies. Then in addition to it, professional bodies are basically are created to enforce code of conduct and to ensure good practices in business. So you have ISLA, then Brokers Association and Actuarial Association also, which are basically professional bodies for surveyor, loss assessors, brokers and actuaries. So these are intended to ensure the code of conduct and proper functioning of these professional organizations. Then information and business analytics is another component which provides input for regulation, and this function is handled by the Insurance Information Bureau, which is a body which has been set up by IRDA. Then what are the various components of regulation of insurers? You have registration, renewal, cancellation, then opening and closing of offices, Then approval of insurance products. Everything about an insurance product is approved, like right from its advertisement, proposal form, the pricing, then the policy document, the terms and conditions, everything is approved, and that document is given a unique number, and it is placed on IRDA's website also. And this unique number and the documents have to be placed on the insurer's website also, basically, to enable someone who is interested to match what is the regulator's confirmation of the product and what is the regulated entity doing. Is it issuing the same product or not? So that is the important aspect of regulation, which is approval of insurance products. Most of the products we are in the file and use mechanism, but progressively probably we will get into the use and file system where there will be standard simple products which will be there. The companies will be in a position to issue and then file the product with IRDA. Then monitoring of advertisements, publicity material of products is also handled by the insurer. Then maintenance of solvency requirement is a very important thing, because the insurance business is something which is very, very risky, and while the assets are some things which can be assessed, but the liabilities are some things which can be assessed only through an actuarial mechanism. And that's the reason why actuaries are also given a lot of importance. So there could be a lot of foul play which can happen, which could have an implication on the solvency, because of which there is a provision which says that you could have alternate actuaries also to be appointed to check on this solvency requirements by the insurers. So this is a very important regulation as far as insurance is concerned. Then investment norms, then accounting norms, then reinsurance requirements, then anti-money laundering and combating financial terrorism norms. So these are the norms which are internationally accepted, and these are applicable across the financial system, because you should have uniform norms across the entire financial system, failing which you could have one channel being more susceptible to KYC violations and money laundering happening through that. So then policyholder protection regulations is an important measure of regulation. Then corporate governance guidelines, then other regulations, circulars, etc. And the other aspect of regulatory framework is to impose penalties where there is a non-compliance or where there is a violation. As far as procedure which is there for levy of penalty is concerned, there are certain provisions where there is an adjudication procedure which is prescribed. But in other cases, it is the principles of natural justice which need to be complied with, and a reasoned order is supposed to be issued. And in either cases where the adjudication is done or the other show cause notice, etc., which is being given, in both these cases, wherever an order is issued, it is susceptible to be challenged or appealed against before the Securities Appellate Tribunal, which is the same body which has been created under the SEBI Act. So this amendment relating to adjudication, in introducing adjudication and bringing in appeal under the SAT, both of these were brought about through the 2015 amendments to the insurance laws. Then the supervisory framework, there are three wings to it. One is on-site inspection. You physically go to the site and then examine the books of accounts, etc. Then off-site supervision, there are 41 to 42 public disclosure documents that need to be submitted. In addition to it, returns are also supposed to be submitted by the insurers. And these returns, there is a business analytics project which is running in IRDA, and through these returns, the supervisory reports and other things will be generated, and based on that, action could be initiated against the insurers. Then complaints are a very important source of the market conduct about these, and press reports, movements in the stock market, and all other kinds of aspects constitute the market intelligence. So this constitutes the supervisory framework from which I ascertain whether the regulation is complied with or not. If it is not, then I take up regulatory action. Then the next is, so this is all about insurers. The second important aspect of regulation is relating to the agents and intermediaries who are in the business. So now let us see what are the agents that are there. So you have individuals who are operating as agents. Then you have individuals who can be point of sale persons. While agents can distribute the products of insurance, the point of sale persons are basically intended to distribute simple products where you don't have to do much explaining as far as the features of the product and limitations, etc. are concerned. Then micro insurance agents, basically those who are involved in microfinance, to be enabling them to deliver micro insurance products. You have micro insurance agents who have been brought into the system through separate regulations. I think it's of 2015. Then intermediaries, you could have different kinds of intermediaries. The first of them is the distribution intermediaries. In this, you have corporate agents, which include the banks. So these are basically corporate entities, which is companies, LLPs, etc., cooperatives, etc., which can do insurance business apart from the principal business that they are involved in. There are 781 like that. Then brokers are basically exclusive insurance business entities. So there are 520, and you could have composite brokers, insurance brokers, reinsurance brokers, etc. And the requirements differ amongst the three categories. Then the other addition that was made was insurance marketing firms. So these firms, apart from selling the banking products or the mutual fund products, they have been permitted to sell the insurance products also. There are 482 listed, but there are about 150 or 120 of them where the registration has either expired or they have been rejected. But in other cases, they have done some sorting out of the list. But if you see the insurance marketing firms list, it's all having yellow, dark yellow kind of patches in it. As far as web aggregators are concerned, we have 21. These are basically platforms which provide a comparative space for people to see the similarly placed products and understand, compare them and have prices comparison as well, feature comparison to be made. Then finally, if they choose to buy the product, they will be directed to the concerned insurer, and there they will be in a position to buy the product. Then common service centers, basically for standardized products, they have said that why not use the e-seva offices and others also for the purpose of distribution. So they have been added to the distribution intermediaries. Then distance marketing agencies are also there. Then the most important service intermediaries are surveyors and loss assessors. There are 183 as on 7th September, corporate surveyors. Then individual surveyors are about 9,900. Then third party administrators who facilitate health insurance. There are 20 of them. Then insurance repositories, basically for pooling of creating insurance, electronic insurance accounts and combining the policies that are held by an individual into that insurance electronic insurance account. That is the function. There are 4 repositories who are there. Then web aggregators. So these, I think about web aggregators I have already discussed there. There are 21 of them. Then motor insurance service providers. This was a new category that was brought in. But there is some revision that was supposed to be happening in this. There is a committee which gave its recommendations, and Mr. Vijay Srinivas was one of the members of that committee. So basically, they are supposed to be providing motor insurance and the services relating to motor insurance products. Then the other thing that is there is an insurance self-network platform. So this is basically created for e-commerce activities in insurance. So here an insurer or an intermediary who is registered or any person recognized by IRDA can offer a web-based platform or a mobile-based platform. And through that platform, they can engage in selling of insurance. What are the kinds of regulation? Again, licensing, renewal, suspension, cancellation, etc. Then capital requirements are specified for them. So an IMF requires about 5 lakhs, a broker requires 50 lakhs. Then this way you have different capital requirements for different intermediaries. Then registration, renewal fee or annual fee requirements are there. Then qualification and training requirements are specified. Code of conduct and reporting requirements are specified. Policyholder protection and servicing requirements are there. Then other regulations, and in case of non-compliance, there will be violations. All this form the regulatory powers relating to agents and intermediaries. Then the last as far as this is concerned, is supervisory framework, which is very similar to that you have in case of insurers. As far as the developmental role is concerned, you have rural and social sector obligations which were there, which are under Section 32AB of the Insurance Act. Then another subsection has been added there where motor third-party insurance obligations have also been introduced for insurers. Then micro insurance to promote small insurance in health, life, dwellings. Then general insurance that has been brought out where it's about 30,000 to 50,000 generally. That is the coverage. So that is also something which is provided for bringing in more people under the social security cover. Then promoting institutions is an important way. So we have Insurance Institute of Insurance and Risk Management and IIB. Both of them are promoted by IRDA. Substantial amount of their expenses are also borne by IRDA, and they are engaged in either the teaching, research, etc., or information and data analytics as far as IIB is concerned. They are doing a very good job. Fraud analytics projects and other things, then hospital database, then the vehicles database, all that. So IIB is doing a very good job, but I can't say the same thing as far as IIRM is concerned. Then strengthening research and development, they have a research scheme, etc. Then there are to promote research in insurance, etc. Then they are coming out with this mechanism of having standardized products. We have discussed a few of those products also. I will be just running through them. Then the other important developmental role of IRDA is consumer education and protection, because there is a huge information asymmetry as far as insurance is concerned. That is, people don't understand what are the terms and conditions. So simplification of products is one, and educating them about the need for insurance and as well as the nuances of those products. These are very important developmental roles which IRDA does. So the standard products that they have brought about in life insurance, they have a term insurance product and an immediate annuity product they have brought in. In general insurance, we have already discussed the Griha Suraksha, Sukshma Udyam and Laghu Udyam, which are for basically dwellings, micro and small businesses. Then in health insurance, they have come out with 5 variants of products. One is the Arogya Sanjeevani. So basically, this is an individual health insurance product. Then Corona Kavach and Rakshak. One is a health policy and other is a benefit policy, where you will be given some 1.5 lakhs, I think is the amount, or 2 lakhs that will be given for if you are found diagnosed with COVID. The other policy is like a normal health policy, Corona Kavach. Then apart from that, you have a Mashak Rakshak, basically vector-borne diseases related health policy. Then you have a personal accident policy also called Saral Suraksha. So these are basically standard products with guidelines, terminology and other things taken out by IRDA. The only thing that they will have to do is add the company's name, price it, and then issue it to people. So that way the protection that is there for people is that there will be standardized terms. The problem that could be there is that there still could be some variation in terms of the costing of these products, be it term insurance or be it the general insurance, life insurance or health insurance. They won't be similarly priced products, but there will be the pricing will be different, but the terms and conditions will be standardized and the coverages and other things will be standardized. Then last, I will stop after this for questions, because this is the last as far as the developmental part is concerned. So consumer education is a very important developmental activity they engage in. Financial inclusion education is one. They are promoter of the National Center for Financial Education, where all the financial sector regulators are there and they contribute money as well towards the capital of this entity, which is which is located in the premises of NSC Training Center or something, which is there in Bandra Kurla complex, I suppose. So this center is a Section 8 company, which is basically intended to handle financial education, which is sector for the financial sector, independent of the sector it's for all the financial products. They will be coming out with educational material. They also conduct the financial literacy aptitude test, which is an annual test where all the school people's participation is solicited. Then they have also come out with school curriculum of subjects relating to banking and finance. So that way, NCFE is doing, and they also come out with the financial education policy also. Then IRDA has a policyholder consumer education website called policyholder.gov.in. They come out with an annual consumer affairs booklet. So the booklet, the first of those booklets was designed when I was there in IRDA, and that's the first time that we came out with a comprehensive sheet encapsulating the major kinds of grievances that are there, what is the resolution that they are providing, what are the classification of complaints that are there, etc. So it was a very elaborate thing where each had one. Every company had a sheet to give their performance as from based on the complaints that is there. Now they have dispensed with those sheets, but essentially they are dealing with the strategies that are taken for dealing with mis-selling, which is an important area of grievances in life, claim handling, which is an important area of grievances in general, and other aspects relating to the grievance statistics as they are drawing it from IGMF, they are providing it here. Then consumer education publications and publicity. So they come out with handbooks, they issue cautions, then there's the Bima Bemisal campaign which they run. Then there was an important campaign that was run for warning people against spurious calls. Then they also engage in insurance awareness day events and celebration. The third dimension of IRDA's developmental role is consumer protection. We have policyholder protection regulations, but their role is very important insofar as the insurance ombudsman scheme is concerned, where they have a power to their role to play in appointment. The chairman of IRDA is the chairman of the selection committee. Then they are entrusted with the function of reviewing the activities of the ombudsman. Annual report is supposed to be submitted by Executive Council of Insurers. Then all the insurance ombudsmen also are supposed to submit their report to IRDA annually. Then quarterly you get the complaint handling statistics to IRDA. Then IRDA is the disciplinary authority for action against ombudsmen. While the inquiry and receipt of complaints are handled by the Executive Council, IRDA is based on the inquiry, what decision is supposed to be taken insofar as the ombudsman is concerned, the power is given to IRDA. Then IRDA is supposed to constitute an advisory committee of 5 members for reviewing the performance of ombudsman, and also they make recommendations for improving the system in consultation with Executive Council of Insurance. And finally, they also operate the integrated grievance management system and also the integrated grievance call center. So this way, these are the developmental roles as far as IRDA are concerned. So I will stop here and I will find out if you have any questions or you have any points where you would want some elaboration or something like that. Yes, sir. Sudhakar, sir. Yes, sir. Sudhakar, sir. Solungo.
Yeah. So I am not muted. File and use and file system is there, no sir? Almost file and use system is existing now. Whether they are going through all the prospectus, policy wordings, everything, sir. If that happens, we have seen one case study, that HDFC Ergo policy where the rider wrote more than 350cc, the claim is not payable like that. So those conditions can be improved by IRDA, if they really gone through the proposal and policy wordings and prospectus.
Correct. Actually, there is a committee of interdepartmental committee which is sitting on approval of each of these products, sir. So the basic aspect to it is in terms of terms and conditions that are there, that will be examined. And if you see in life, what they have done is they have gone ahead and they have only given the standard terms and conditions, because of which they don't have to look at the terms and conditions. If it is, they have standard terms and conditions. So that's the reason why the standardization of terms and conditions is a very good way through which they will eliminate their nuisance and ensure that they don't have to spend time in terms of looking at individual terms and conditions which are there. But
Okay.
in general, it is very important that they take cognizance of these exceptions, etc. There is a mechanism that is there in place through which they are going to see that. But the emphasis is more on the pricing of these products, and it is the actuarial team which is driving more. What is it? Which is taking the lead as far as approval of products is concerned. So I agree that there has to be an emphasis on these finer things that are also there, so that the coverage is proper and people are not robbed of their benefit through the fine print, which is supposed to be taken care of.
One more thing, sir, that standard products you are told, if that being the case, then everything will be standardized. But the receipt of consumer request is a tailor-made product more than a standard product. He needs, I want only this cover. I want only, I don't want this exclusion, like that. Many of the customers are asking no. So nowadays, going for a standard product, if it is a tailor-made product, then it will be a good thing, no?
There are certain tailor-made products which they have come out. If you see the point of sale percent at that point of time, they have come out with specific products relating to term insurance and other things. So there it is possible they will probably come out with this standard products. So what they have done through this standardization is cut down so much on the exclusions that can be brought in, the coverages that can be brought in, etc. So now the only thing that they will have to do is how many people would be there, what is that particular area, and how much I should price it according to. So that is all that is left as far as the decision in so far as those products is concerned. But going forward, probably we will have a situation where you will have these standard products with standard, but that will become like your personal accident. Pradhan Mantri schemes you have, it will become like that, and we don't want it to be happening like that, because it's something which is thrust at a particular price, and it is not mandated in your motor third party or obligatory social sector or rural sector that you need to take up this much. So it will ultimately land up in somebody's kitty, and ultimately they will be suffering a loss because of the standardized price that is offered. If you have standard products of the nature that you have now, you will not have an issue where they will crib about the pricing of it. The pricing is for them to determine and the market to decide.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Anand?
Yeah, I have a question. I think everybody must be having the same question in their mind. That is, suppose despite of my repeated, request and my complaint, IRDA is not responding to my queries. So who should I write? Prime Minister or where?
What are your queries actually about?
No, anything. There are so many things now where the IRDA doesn't respond.
No, IRDA doesn't respond. See, IRDA, if it is a complaint that you are giving, then let me tell you the standardized approach that is there as far as IRDA is concerned, which we have brought out in the grievance redressal book also, saying that IRDA is not an authority which is doing the grievance redressal. So it is only facilitating grievance redressal by providing platforms for grievances. That is one, standardized as far as the grievances is concerned. But one thing from the perspective of market conduct supervision, I will look at aggregation of complaints and see what are the areas where there are problems, call for information from the insurers to find out the root cause analysis for those problems, so that I will be in a position to deal with them in the systemic way. But as far as retail grievance handling is concerned, IRDA doesn't do. That is the first part. If you are talking, because you have given a very generalized way about what you are asking IRDA about. The second thing is grievances or suggestions that you are giving relating to products. One thing I would say as far as these suggestions are concerned is that they will be taken on board by someone, but you will not have ki ye diya to agle din ye aaya, that kind of a response in regulators you will not find. But whenever there is any committee which is formed and there are suggestions that are given, it is required that before that committee finalizes it and provides a regulatory change, these suggestions that have been incorporated or sent will have to be reasoned out and either included or excluded. That much they generally do while they are bringing out. Because if you would have seen the surveyors there was a report that was there, then the surveyor regulation was brought in, there could have been suggestions, etc. So those suggestions will be taken on board, and accordingly the guidelines will come about. The latest that you have is the insurance, entities that are likely to be coming about. So that there is one report relating to that. So that is one way in which you have. But otherwise, you are giving some input, and for every input, the IRDA system will respond. I don't think that will happen that way, but you will probably get an acknowledgement through the normal course. Now, if you want to specify what you are talking about.
I will tell you. In my office, there are guys who are, for the last, they have already cleared the exams, but they are applying for the license. Okay. And there's no some kind of positive response from their side. Your application is under process. It is coming for the last 1 year on their website.
Agents exam.
No, surveyors.
Surveyors, okay.
So they are entitled for the certificate, license, but for the last 1 year they are not getting it. And every time, whenever they go to the website, it comes your application is under process. So now, where should they go and bang their head?
See, one thing what you can do is these kind of things you can ask for. RTA is a good way by which you can at least find out the status, why it has not come, kind of a thing you can ask for. But then let me give you the standard. I was a appellate authority under the Right to Information Act for about 6 months in IRDA. The general treatment relating to grievances and RTA is that RTA is not a grievance redressal framework, but RTA can be used as a mechanism to ascertain the status. Once you get to know the status, you will have to take it up saying that in spite of this much time, something is not happening, so that is inappropriate. So surveyor section in Delhi, as I told you, it's a setup which is basically intended to deal with it. And now I think the entire surveyor system, you have an online mechanism where you are putting in the information, you are filing documents, etc. So I don't think that there should be a reason why there should be 1 year time for a surveyor's license to be given or to be responded to.
Unfortunately, it is there, and it is online system I'm talking about. If the gentleman goes to the site,
yes,
yeah, it will say that your application is under process and all these things. Okay. But there is no positive response. If you write to them, again, you will get the same kind of a reply. But there is no separate communication from their side.
Kind of reply that you are getting that the matter is under process or
no. They will write that please see the query, or please see the query. They will write separately that something like that they will write. But again, if you go to the website, you will say your application is under process.
See, one thing what you can do is through the government grievances portal, no? CG, what is that? Through that, DAPRG. So that portal you give, then they will have to respond and at least close that grievance. So you will get a response in terms of what is happening to it, and it could be a trigger in terms of activating their.
You mean to say that is also online portal?
Yes, yes. Yes. It's a Ministry of Redressal of Personal Grievances, Administration, Pension. So DAPRG, Department of Administration, Pension and Redressal of Grievances. It is a ministry which is directly under the government. So just go to a website and say complaints, government portal for complaints. You will get that, and then
that is DPG, Directorate of Public Relations. DPG actually.
DPG है, पर actually कहते DPG है, but actually वो DARPG है.
नहीं DPG है, उसका actually acronym ही DPG है. Directorate of Public Relations.
Directorate of Public Relations.
So here it will be lakhs and lakhs, kind of,
Yeah, but one thing there will be at least
months together for me.
Anand Sahab, I have a suggestion. Actually, this IRDA's office is there in CP, and I had 1 or 2 occasions going there. Of course, that was a few years back. But if you have someone there, I mean, any of your representative can simply walk in there, even though everything has become online. But still, I'm sure there will have a mechanism where if you go personally, I mean, there will be a response, and it's not that they will not allow you to enter and all that. They will do it.
But one thing, if you are in Delhi, then you can definitely go there. Or in Hyderabad.
Someone, Mr. Anand is not in Delhi, I believe, but you can ask someone who is there in Delhi. You can just go and check in there. Before you go to DPG, because IRDA may not like it.
No, but there's no question of not liking, sir. See, one thing about organizations.
I tell you, at times they take it in a very wrong sense, man.
Yeah, they take it in a wrong way. You know, the timing, meeting timing is 4 to 5. And most of the time, these people are not there.
In fact, today only I spoke to their DGM.
Bajaj, where is Bajaj? Mallikarjun sir?
There in the surveyor section.
Mallikarjun sir, there was this guy, na, Bajaj, where is he now? He was there and he was posted in Delhi, na? He was a young guy, very young guy. Bajaj, he may be still there.
Irdai is the one who is looking after that in, what is it? Delhi. So share that to me. Let me see if I can pass it out to her. And okay.
Yeah, I thought you have some other address, redressal forum, something like that, so that I should drop that complaint to them as well.
Now, one thing I will see. I will put it on the IRDA website. Sorry, on our group. I will put it. Okay. So, Mr. Amandeep Singh, sir.
No, I just wanted to give a resolution.
Yes, sir.
But partially you have answered it that you can move through RTI. RTI is one form. The other is you can always make a request to the DFS. Yes. You see, it is a ministry, and they always take the any sort of complaint in a very fine manner, and they call upon. It's not that when I was in vigilance, even the complaints which are referred to the CVC, they were just passing on to the respective ministries. And DFS can always, enter such type of things.
What is full form?
What is
full form of DFS?
Department of Financial Services.
Department of Financial Services. It is there, the Ministry of Insurance System. Just when you are there in Delhi, it's just close by in Knot Place only.
Jeevan Akshay, Jeevan Anand, Jeevan.
Yeah.
No, but entering those places is very difficult, man. You have to get a pass made and all that.
No, it's not necessary to go there. Just give a complaint.
Yeah. That
not a complaint, even a simple request that this matter is hanging for such a long time. So there will definitely be an answer to that.
Ideally, you can bunch all of them, saying that this particular, you say licensing of surveyors, you say that the system has been made online. But I have so many cases who have approached, who made their requests, filed their applications, but till date, inka nahi hua, 6 mahine, 8 mahine, 12 mahine, and the kinds of responses, there is no response at all that is coming in. So you give this and send, then they will properly, they will take it up and they will get some resolution for that. Okay. Mr.
Sir has also, raised one issue of tailor-made. So just to supplement it, that the add-on products which have been introduced in various by the various insurance companies. So they are also like the fire insurance product has been standardized, and there are various add-ons are added to. So it can be made tailor-made when various add-ons are given by the insurers. So that way it can be, helpful to the insuring public.
Correct. See, but the problem with most of this, that is why I personally feel if it is a simple plain vanilla product kind of a thing that is given, that kind of plain vanilla things are possible only in life, but in general, बहुत मुश्किल है. What you can have something like this. So,
Mr. Milal had a question. Now he has put his hand down.
There are 9,000 surveyors. There are 9,000 people who get nightmares of renewing their license.
Absolutely.
Online is supposed to make things easier, but I've had about maybe 10 or 12 renewals of licenses over the last 40 years. And let me tell you, nightmare is starting when you have an online. First, the license was 5 years. Now they made it 3 years.
3 years.
They collect data which nobody is going to see. And why has they made it so difficult? I am unable to understand. You never get through on your first shot. You have to keep on answering, sending data, information. Minimum 1 or 2 months it takes to renew your license. This is a very bad example of license Raj, if you ask me.
Sir, I would add to your statement. It is not 1 or 2 months. It extends more than that.
No developed country in the world has a license.
No, it takes months together, sometimes year. In one of my colleague case, it has gone even 1 year.
In fact, see, as far as this is an individual surveyor where the level of business and other things. At one point of time in brokers, we had this where beyond 1 year also they are still waiting, asking for information, etc. But there the volume of business that would be involved, etc. is huge. But those entities keep continuing. So I hope the position has improved, but as I hear from you, I don't think the position has improved.
I think there has to be a norm which says that unless you have queries, you raise them in 1 month, automatically the license is renewed.
Yeah.
I mean, unless this works, this is senseless, really torture.
Correct. And Mr. Govinder?
Yes, sir. Milan, sorry, you said that I hope the things have improved. No, they have worsened with this new 3-year rule. Can you imagine the directors have a particular license with 4 departments, but the company's license comes with 3 departments. And when you tell them, they say go online, and you cannot go online for what? So we have been struggling for almost a year where there are 4 departments for the directors, but only 3 departments on the license. It is ridiculous, but we can do nothing because they say go online. We will not talk to you.
Okay, so even in surveyor's department only goes online, not interacting with people.
Yes, yes, that is right. You cannot interact with anyone. You cannot go. I happen to be in Delhi. I cannot go to their office because they will not entertain. Nobody from my office is entertained there.
Okay.
I believe AIRM will have to open a grievance and for.
But one thing, the point as far as most of these issues is concerned is that the level of someone who handles the computers is not someone who's operationally handling it. The operational people don't interact with the person who is making the system. Then your network related issues, then personal issues, interpersonal issues. So all these things keep cropping up, and unfortunately, thankfully, as far as the life insurers are concerned, they have said that the license is continuing. You only have to pay an annual fee. I hope they say the same thing insofar as these entities are concerned also. So maybe these are the items where ISLA and others could take it up with the insurers, and that is the reason why those bodies, Life Insurance, General Insurance Council and ISLA, if they are taking it up with IRDA, they always sit in the Insurance Advisory Committee meeting, which happens once in about, I think there are at least 5 to 6 Insurance Advisory Committees meetings which happen. So I think in one of those meetings, this should be raised very strongly by the group of people who are in, because there will be a surveyor in it, there will be a Life Insurance Council, there will be General Insurance Council member in it, then there will be consumer associations, there will be surveyors, agents, etc. So that is the forum where you can bring this to and get that sheet and then show them that this is the kind of response that is happening. In IRDA, all the people will be there and they are ex officio members there. So you will definitely be in a position to get through, and your CGMs who are there, I think the surveyor CGM is Mr. Randeep Jagpal or someone. So they will all be in a position to get the feedback about whatever information that you have, that they will be in a position to get and maybe improve the position there. So shall I go ahead with my provisions of act?
Please,
okay.
Please.
I will try. My ambition is to get through this by around 8:05 to 8:10. Okay. So let me share my presentation. Please confirm when you see my presentation. Okay.
Yes, sir. It is there.
Yes.
Yeah,
So now,
it's there.
I will now go to the provisions of the Act. So whenever you talk about provisions, you need to know the scheme of the Act. So the scheme is the division of chapters, division of sections, etc. And what is the broad content of these chapters? So chapter 1 has 2 sections, preliminary, it's a preliminary chapter. Chapter 2 talks about regulator, the members, the composition, etc., the function, composition, etc. Then chapter 3 talks about the transfer of assets liabilities from interim regulatory authority to the IRDA. Chapter 4 is a very important section chapter which talks about the duties, powers and functions of authority. So whenever you see any regulation or anything that IRDA does, you will always find section 14 in it. Chapter 5 talks about finance, accounts and audit. Chapter 6 talks about miscellaneous aspects. And there are 3 schedules to it. They are basically nothing but the schedules of amendments to the acts done through the IRDA Act. The first section talks about short titled extent and commencement. It's IRDA Act, extends to whole of India, was effective from 19th April 2000. Then there are certain definitions, nothing of very great importance here, other than one. It's section authority. If you see, authority means IRDA established under section 3. So here you are equating organization with IRDA. Okay. Then insurance, one other important definition that is there here is intermediary or insurance intermediary. So there are certain named entities here and there are certain entities which are unnamed, which can be added depending upon the need of the time. So insurance brokers, reinsurance brokers, insurance consultants, then corporate agents, third-party administrators, surveyors and loss assessors. These have all been named as insurance intermediaries. Earlier agents was a part of agents, but now they have been made a part of intermediary or insurance intermediary definition. Then other entities as notified by IRDA. So under this only you have web aggregators, insurance marketing firms, common service centers, point of sale persons, then motor insurance service providers, etc. Then member notification prescribed. These are not very significant definitions. Then section 3 talks about establishment. So IRDA has been established for the purposes of the Act as a body corporate having perpetual succession and common seal. So the implication of being a body corporate or an independent entity is that it will have power to acquire, hold and dispose immovable and movable property. It can enter into contracts, it can be sued and sue in its own name. So these are nothing great about it other than elucidation of the fact that it is a body corporate having a distinct legal entity. Then head office at a place decided by central government from time to time. There was at one point of time one move thinking that IRDA will also shift base to Bombay, but that didn't happen. So as of now, it continues to be in Hyderabad. It can open offices at other places in India. So IRDA can establish depending upon its need. And presently it has it at New Delhi and Mumbai. What is the composition of authority? As I indicated, 10 members appointed by central government. The qualifications that are there in terms of knowledge and experience are general insurance, life insurance and actuarial science only. So what we have done is that we have distribution and finance and accounts also as disciplines where we have whole-time members. Then you have 4 part-time members. The qualities that are supposed to be there are ability, integrity and standing. And they should have knowledge or experience in life or general insurance, actuarial science, finance, economics, law, accountancy, administration, or any discipline useful to the authority. What about the tenure? All of them have the chairperson, whole-time member, and part-time members have 5 years. The chairperson will be there up to 65 years. He can be reappointed. Whole-time members up to 62 years. And any member can relinquish his office by writing to the central government. Otherwise, notice of not less than 3 months should be there. But one thing, now the chairman has also gone and it's more than 6 months since we don't have a chairman. And there have been various times when there is one or the other member who is missing in the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. It speaks. Now that is the position in every organization that is there. So consumer forums you don't have, then what is it, human rights commissions, you don't have. So that's the tendency to not have people appointed because you don't get persons of your choice. No, so that's continuing even in case of IRDA. Then any member can be removed from office for the disqualifications that are provided in section 6. So what are those disqualifications? He can be removed by central government, and the grounds could be that if he is adjudged insolvent, it is as good as civil death. So you are non-existent, so you can't be here as a member or chairman. Then second, physical or mental incapability, this will disqualify you. Then conviction for offense involving moral turpitude, so you don't have a moral right to continue there. Then you have acquired a financial interest which is prejudicial to functioning as a member. Then also you will have to be, there will be a bias towards yourself, so you will not be in a position to function dispassionately. Then if you have actually abused your position and your continuance is detrimental to public interest, in those instances you can be removed. However, in case of acquiring financial interest or abusing position, following principles of natural justice, they have to be given an opportunity of being heard. Then salary and allowances, they are as prescribed by the rules made by central government. In case of part-time members, because they are already elsewhere, the only thing that they can do is have allowances, and these allowances are prescribed by rules made by central government. To ensure independence of these entities, during the tenure of these people, there should not be any change in it to the disadvantage of these people. So this is a provision to ensure that there is some financial independence and operational independence that is there for these members. Then bar on future employment, it is applicable to chairman and whole-time members. So they cannot, for a period of 2 years from ceasing to hold office, be in employment, which is in relation to insurance. Either in the, they cannot be in employment under central government or state government or in any company in the insurance sector, except with previous approval of central government. Then the chairperson has powers of general superintendence and direction in all administrative affairs. So basically IRDA operates based on the authority, and authority operates with chairperson as the head. Then meetings, what should be the time and place of meetings? What are the rules and procedures of transaction of business? What is the minimum number of people that should be there for starting or conducting of the meeting? These are all items which are prescribed by regulations. Then if the chairman is not able to come, he will designate a member to be presiding. All the decisions of the of IRDA are taken by majority, and in case there is a tie, the chairman or the presiding member will have a casting vote. Then regulations will be made by IRDA for transaction of meeting of the business in the meetings. Then any act or proceeding will not be invalid because of a defect in the constitution of the authority or because of any vacancy in the authority. Now, even if chairman is not there, life goes on. The most important section, then there is a section 13, which is dealing with this interim regulatory authority, etc. So then section 14 is the very important section which talks about what IRDA does, what is its power and what are its functions and what are its duties. So basically you have a big laundry list which operates basically to provide for these three functions. One is to regulate, promote and ensure orderly growth of the insurance and reinsurance business. And what are the various things that they can do? Without going by the generality of the provisions, they will be in a position to do the following things. What are these? Certificate of registration related matters they can issue, renew, modify, withdraw, suspend or cancel. Then for protection of policyholders' interests, they could deal with assignment and nomination of policies, indicate about the insurable interest, then give directions and other things relating to claim settlement, surrender value or other terms and conditions of insurance contract. Then as far as intermediaries, insurance intermediaries or agents, they have powers to prescribe qualifications, code of conduct and specify practical training, etc. Then as far as surveyors and loss assessors are concerned, they have power to specify code of conduct. Then they have the responsibility of promoting efficiency in conduct of insurance business and they can promote and regulate professional organizations in insurance and reinsurance. And for doing all this, they are also given the power for levying fees and other charges. This constitutes a very important source of funds for IRDA, and in 2019-20 annual report, the amount that was collected was 180 crores. Then supervision of insurers, intermediaries, insurance intermediaries and other organizations connected with insurance. And what are the powers that are there for supervision? One, calling for information. Second, undertaking inspection. Third, conducting inquiries. Then fourth, conducting investigations including an audit. All this can be used as supervisory powers. Then specifying the form and manner of maintaining books and statements of accounts by insurers and intermediaries. Then most important function is regulating the investment of funds by insurers. Then regulating maintenance of solvency margin. Then as I told you, adjudicating disputes between insurers and intermediaries. Then supervising the function of TAC. Now TAC is no more there, so this is a redundant provision. Then specifying the percentage of premium income of insurer to finance schemes for promoting and regulating professional organizations relating to insurers and reinsurance. Then specifying percentage of life and general insurance business in rural or social sectors. Then in addition to it, any other powers as prescribed. Here you say prescribed. What are the other powers which IRDA can exercise, or areas on which IRDA can exercise powers will be prescribed by rules by government, and they will be indicating. So you can deal about this also. You can deal about this also. They are supposed to issue rules for that. Then what is the source of funds for IRDA? Grants. Central government may make a grant to IRDA after appropriation by Parliament for use for the purposes of the Act. Appropriation by Parliament means it has to be taken out of the Consolidated Fund of India, and any drawal from the Consolidated Fund of India or allotment will be through the appropriation bill, and that is the only mechanism through which IRDA will get money. Then constitution of fund, there is an IRDA fund that has been created. The credit will be with all government grants, then fees and charges received by IRDA, and these will be used for salaries, remuneration of members and staff of IRDA, and other expenses for discharging its functions. The most important thing next is the audit and accounts. First, IRDA shall maintain proper accounts. Then they will have to prepare a statement of accounts as per the form prescribed by central government and in consultation with the Controller and Auditor General. Then the accounts are audited by the CAG at intervals specified by CAG. But for this purpose, whatever expenditure is there, this is supposed to be borne by IRDA. Then CAG or any person appointed by CAG has same powers as in case of other government accounts. They can demand the documents, vouchers, inspect offices, etc. So for auditing and inspecting the books of accounts of IRDA, whatever is supposed to be asked, they can ask, or they can tell people who are designated for that purpose to ask. And IRDA is supposed to furnish those documents. Accounts of IRDA certified by CAG or auditor with the audit report will be forwarded annually to central government and placed before both houses of parliament. So basically the time period that has been given to them is about 9 months. But if you see, there have been days when they have done it in February, January. So an entire year will be over, and then annual report of this IRDA will come out into the public domain. So there is a huge lag. In case of RBI, it's supposed to be done within 2 months of closure of accounts. So there is it's faster mechanism of reporting. Then power of central government to issue directions. So in case of RBI also, there is this power under section 7. Here also under 18, there is a power where central government can issue directions in writing from time to time to IRDA. And IRDA is bound by such directions on questions of policy, in exercise of powers, and in performance of functions. However, in technical and administrative matters, it is IRDA which will have its last say. But in other areas, IRDA is bound by the directions which are given by the central government. So now they are giving directions. So superseding of IRDA happens when the chairman and members. There is one. If the central government is of the opinion that IRDA is unable to discharge its functions or perform duties imposed under the Act, due to circumstances beyond its control, or IRDA has persistently defaulted in complying with any direction given by central government in discharge of its functions or in performance of its duties imposed. And because of this, if the financial position or administration of IRDA has suffered, in that instance also the board of IRDA can be superseded. And if the circumstances exist making it necessary that the IRDAs should be superseded, then central government will issue an order indicating the reasons why they are taking this action. They have to give an opportunity to make representation to IRDA, and after that, if they are issuing an order, this order will be valid for a period not more than 6 months. It's basically intended to be an interim measure only. And once this interim measure by issue of an order is done, then they will also appoint a person to be acting as controller of insurance under section 2B of the Insurance Act. And that person will take over. So the moment this order comes, the chairperson and members have to vacate office. Then all the powers and functions are exercised by the controller of insurance, and all the properties will vest in central government till the new authority is reconstituted. Then the new reconstitution means the chairman and members have to be appointed before the expiry of the 6 months as specified, or whatever time is specified in the notification. Then by fresh appointment, these people will take over. But why did they have to take this extreme step? The notification of this supersession of the board, the report leading to this action, and action to be taken, all this has to be laid before both houses of the parliament at the earliest. In case of RBI, it is indicated that it has to be at the earliest and not more than 1 month or something, 30 days or something like that. Here at the earliest is all that you have here. Then furnishing of returns to central government, return statements and particulars regarding proposed or existing program for promotion and development of insurance industry has to be submitted. Then an annual report of activities for promotion and development of insurance business during the previous year has to be submitted to the central government within 9 months after closure of the financial year. And these copies have to be laid before both houses of parliament as soon as it is received. Then all the chairperson, members and officers, they are all public servants. So they are covered by the Prevention of Corruption Act, etc. And obstructing of their duty will also attract provisions of the ICC. Then protection of action taken in good faith. So anyone who is in any of these positions exercising powers under the acts, they will be free from being sued or legal proceedings being initiated against them, provided they are acting in good faith. So they are not exempt for any act apart from the act provisions of the act. So delegation of powers and functions. So the authority by general or special order in writing, they can delegate it to chairman, member or officers subject to conditions, or to committees of members as specified by regulation. So not that everything will be done by chairman or the board, but depending upon the operational need and also the authority that is required for doing a particular action, you will draw up a delegation chart of powers and functions, financial included. Then power to make rules. So generally rule making power is given to central government. By notification, they are supposed to make rules for matters that are provided under the Act. So here the aspects relating to which they can make rules is there in section 24. These matters are those where the rules can be made under IRDA Act. But apart from that, under section 114 of the Insurance Act, also central government has power to make rules under matters which are provided in the Insurance Act. Then there is a provision for making regulations which is there under section 26. That power to make regulations is with the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, and they have to do it in accordance with after consultation with the Insurance Advisory Committee. So what is this Insurance Advisory Committee? You have it in section 25. That is, the authority by notification is supposed to establish an Insurance Advisory Committee, and it should not have more than 25 members, including ex officio members from commerce, industry, transport, agriculture, consumer fora, surveyors, agents, intermediaries, organizations engaged in safety and loss prevention, research bodies, employees association in insurance sector. So an entire stakeholders of the insurance sector or interested parties in insurance sectors or policy holders are all included in the members who can be appointed to the Insurance Advisory Committee. So the chairman and members are also ex officio chairman and members of the Insurance Advisory Committee. And these are excluded from the 25. So apart from these 25, you have these 5-6 more people who can sit in the deliberations relating to the Insurance Advisory Committee. The object of this committee is basically to advise the authority on matters relating to making of regulations under section 26. But one thing that they do is the provision says that they have to take the approval in consultation with the IAC is provided for here. But even for the regulations that IRDA makes under section 114A, there also the Insurance Advisory Committee is consulted. And if you see any of the regulations that IRDA makes, it will read that exercising the powers under section 14, read with section 26, and then read with section 114A, they will make the regulations. So the power to make regulations is under section 26 as well as section 114A of the Insurance Act relating to those matters where the powers are given under Insurance Act. So the matters which are there in the IRDA Act, they are listed out here. Section 27 talks about the procedure of when you say subordinate legislation, this is subordinated to legislation because the Parliament does not want to look at and pass every provision relating to these matters. These are operational, so I allow the regulator and the central government to make rules. But I have to be kept informed about what you have made, and the provisions relating to these rules and regulations say that they have to be in consistence with the provisions of the Act, and they have to be on matters for which the regulatory power or the rule making power has been assigned under those respective sections. Whether that is being followed or not is something which is supposed to be monitored by the someone. Let me just get back to the presentation. The whether that is being followed or not is supposed to be handled by the seen by the Committee on Subordinate Legislation, which is a parliamentary subcommittee. So for that purpose and for also to get the parliamentary stamp for these regulations and rules, they have to be laid before each house of the Parliament while in session for a period of 30 days. So within those 30 days, if they are asking for any modifications to be made, or if they say that these rules need not be implemented or these regulations need not be brought in, then they can say that they have to be modified or they can be annulled. But during the time that this notification has been issued and they have been in force, anything that is done that will not become invalid. So this is as far as section 27 is concerned. Then the provisions of IRDA Act are not in derogation of, but they are in addition to any other law for the time being in force. So it's not that Insurance Act will not apply because IRDA Act is there, but the provision is because Insurance Act is dealing with the matters which are provided there. In addition to this, IRDA Act also provides for matters where the provisions are there of the IRDA Act. So these provisions are together, but not in derogation of any other law for the time being in force. So whenever you come out with a new act, there will be some provisions which are made for removing difficulties for a temporary period. The period is 2 years and removing of difficulties will be by order published in Official Gazette. So as to ensure that the provisions which are there in the Act will be given effect to. And because this is making a modification to the Act that has been put before Parliament, every order that is given exercising this power is also supposed to be placed before the Parliament. Then section 30, 31 and 32 are basically those sections which are operational for making modifications into the Insurance Act, LIC Act and the General Insurance Business Nationalization Act. So these 3 schedules are in accordance with these 3 sections. So this is as far as the content of the entire IRDA Act is concerned.